Jennifer Hayes carefully took the old photograph from its worn frame. After 15 years restoring photos, her gloved hands stayed steady. The picture had arrived that morning at her Chicago studio as part of an estate gift for the Historical Society. It was badly faded, stained by water, and discolored so much that many details were hard to see. It showed a family of 5, parents in their 30s, 2 boys about 8 and 10, and a little girl of 3 or 4 sitting on her mother's lap. They wore formal clothes in a studio with a painted backdrop common in 1930. On the back, faded ink read, "Patterson Family, Chicago, Illinois, March 1930. Our precious ones." Jennifer scanned the photo at high resolution so she could work on a digital copy without damaging the original. On her screen, she carefully cleaned stains, fixed the contrast, and brought back lost details. She had restored hundreds of family pictures from that time, and knew the serious faces and stiff poses well. Smiles were rare because cameras needed long exposures. But as she cleared the yellowing and sharpened the image, something troubled her. The little girl looked different. A faint, blue-gray color appeared around her lips and fingernails. Her expression was too still. Her mother held her carefully, as if she could not sit up alone. Slight swelling showed around her ankles and wrists. Jennifer felt a chill. She had seen these signs in old medical books. During lunch, she researched. The blue color was cyanosis, blood not carrying enough oxygen. In 1930, before heart surgery, it almost always meant a serious heart defect from birth. The swelling, called edema, pointed to heart failure. The child was too weak to sit for long. She looked closer. The mother's hands showed tender but practiced care. The father's face held deep sadness under his formal look. The 2 boys gazed at their sister, not the camera, with unusual seriousness for their age. Jennifer checked the donation records. The photo came from the estate of David Patterson, who died at 93. It included boxes of family letters and papers. She called the archivist, Marcus Chen, and told him what she had found. "I think this little girl was very sick," she said. "The signs are clear now. May I look at the rest of the papers?" Marcus invited her that afternoon. The father was a factory foreman during the Depression. There may be something about the daughter. When Jennifer arrived, Marcus had 3 boxes ready. He handed her a folder with an April 1930 obituary from the Chicago Tribune. Helen Rose Patterson, beloved daughter of Robert and Catherine Patterson, died April 12, 1930, at age 3 years and 8 months. Services at St. Michael's Church. Donations to Children's Memorial Hospital Cardiac Research Fund. Jennifer's throat tightened. The portrait was taken in March, just 1 month before Helen died. The family had known she had little time left. In the letter she found correspondence between Catherine and her sister Elizabeth. A January 1928 letter told of the diagnosis doctors at Children's Memorial Hospital said Helen's heart chambers did not work properly. There was no treatment. She might live only months or a year or 2. Catherine wrote of crying for hours while Robert held her. How could they tell the boys? How could they watch her fade? Later letters recorded the slow decline. Good days when Helen played quietly with dolls. Bad days when she struggled to breathe. The boys learned to be gentle. Money was tight. Robert worked overtime. They sold silver and furniture. The boys wore hand-me-downs. Still, they would give everything for more time with Helen. In February 1930, Catherine wrote that the doctor said Helen had 6 to 8 weeks left. The swelling in her legs had worsened. They decided to spend $5 they could barely afford on a family portrait, something to hold on to after she was gone. They wanted the boys to remember Helen as she was then, not as she would be at the end. The photographer's receipt was dated March 15, 1930. He added a kind note and made extra prints free of charge, saying it was an honor. Catherine described the session. Helen had a good day. She held her carefully while the photographer worked patiently. For a moment, Helen looked almost healthy. Everyone knew this was the last time they would all be together. Later letters tracked Helen's final weeks. She slept most of the day. Breathing grew harder. Blue color stayed around her lips. The doctor gave morphine for comfort. Robert read stories each evening. On April 1st, the boys asked if Helen was going to heaven soon. Catherine told them the truth. 10-year-old Thomas said he would take care of the family. On April 5th, the photographs arrived. Catherine cried from gratitude, not only sadness. The picture showed them whole. Helen peaceful in her arms, the boys strong, the parents holding the family together. Catherine's short diary entries from the last days were heartbreaking. Helen's breathing grew shallow. Hands and feet turned cold. On April 12th at 3:20 in the morning, Helen died quietly in her mother's arms, with Robert's hand on her head and the boys nearby. Her tired heart could fight no longer. Letters of sympathy poured in from neighbors and Robert's boss at the factory. They spoke of Helen's courage and the family's strength. Catherine wrote that the house felt empty without the constant watch and labored breathing. Robert told his brother the boys had nightmares and questions he could not answer because he could barely function himself. Yet they honored Helen. They donated the $30 saved for her care to the hospital for heart research, hoping it might one day save other children. The portrait hung in a special frame in the parlor. Catherine looked at it every day and remembered Helen healthy and loved. The boys talked to the picture. Robert said the photograph brought comfort, not pain. It showed Helen living, not dying. Catherine realized the photo would outlive them all and prove to future generations that Helen had existed and mattered. The photographer later wrote that few portraits had moved him so deeply. He had understood it was a farewell. Jennifer finished the restoration. Details hidden for 90 years now showed clearly. The cyanosis, the swelling, the careful holding. She presented the story to the Historical Society board. The room fell silent. Director Dr. Patricia Williams said the photo was a window into how families faced childhood death during the Depression, when little medical help existed. They created an exhibition around the restored portrait, the letters, old medical texts, and modern information from Children's Memorial Hospital. Today, the same heart defects can be fixed with surgery, and survival rates are over 95%. Children like Helen now live full lives. A newspaper story brought a call from Michael Patterson, 85, son of the older boy Thomas. He came to see the photo, tears on his face. His father had never gotten over losing Helen and kept a print of the portrait all his life. Michael brought a letter Thomas had written near the end of his own life, describing the photo session and saying Helen was funny and sweet, not just a sick child. The exhibition opened in October and drew more than 15,000 visitors. Families cried. Parents held their children closer. Medical students studied the signs of illness with empathy. Michael brought his children and grandchildren so they could know their great-aunt Helen. A pediatric cardiologist explained how far medicine had come, yet reminded everyone that for most of history, families could only love and watch their children die. Jennifer told a reporter, "The photo's power lay in the family's choice to record love and dignity instead of hiding away." For Jennifer, the project became the most meaningful of her career. That night, she wrote in her journal, the damaged 1930 portrait had revealed a family's farewell. The restoration recovered not just an image, but a story of love that deserved to be remembered. She looked one last time at Helen's clear face on the screen, a child preserved forever in her family's love, then saved the file and turned off the computer, knowing the photograph would keep speaking of love, memory, and what truly matters.